filling with water.
Well, hello and welcome to Weather Unfiltered. I'm Molly McCollum here with former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb. And we have three things that we're watching and three big ones that we're watching.
And they pretty much all have to do with water in different parts of the country, different weather systems. But that has been the story this summer.
Weeks now we've been dealing with heavy rain. We still have more heavy rain in parts of Texas, the Hill Country included. We've got heavy rain falling in the Northeast. I mean, you're not going to believe how many ground stops we have at some of these airports.
Yeah, and when you have urbanized areas and some hilly terrain, that area, Philadelphia down to D.C., is notorious for flash flooding when you have this southerly flow off the Gulf Stream. And speaking of which, on the southern end of the Gulf Stream, we've got an area of low pressure that does have a chance to develop as it heads toward the Gulf. But regardless, it already is and will continue to produce heavy rainfall in the southeast.
We're going to be watching that and talking about it more in greater detail in just a minute. But let's take you just south of Palm Beach, where you can see some of the clouds out there. So far, we're okay in this part of Florida, but we know a lot of Florida is going to be seeing a lot of that rain because of our tropical something.
Yeah, it already is an area of low pressure, and it's definitely been destabilizing the atmosphere over the Florida Peninsula. And from Orlando and Tampa southward, even into parts of South Florida, we've had some isolated flood problems on the road. And my goodness, a lot of lightning out there today.
A lot of lightning. Please be careful. Let's take you into Washington, D.C. right now. And that's just one of the many wildfires that we're watching. Most of the active wildfires in the West, if you look at all of the active wildfires and the total acreage so far this year, I mean, it's been tough, especially in the desert Southwest here as of late. But we look up towards even the Pacific Northwest in areas where we're going to see isolated dry thunderstorms. You're going to dry thunderstorms basically means that the water is evaporating before it makes it to the ground, but you still have the lightning. And with the lightning, you can see additional fires that are sparked and can spread very quickly. It are the kind of conditions that we have right now. Anywhere from elevated to critical fire danger there in the Pacific Northwest. But that means that fires not only can start very easily when they're elevated, they're fairly easy to control. But when it becomes critical, that means they can spread rapidly and they can be more difficult to control. And you look at the checklist of, what do you need to have a bad wildfire? And you can basically go down this list, and that's what we're seeing for say a lot of the western third of the United States right now, where we have the heat. We've been in the middle of a pretty substantial heat wave for areas like Portland, where our highs tomorrow, 93. I mean, look at Redding, California, 101, Medford, 99. And you combine that with the fact that, we could see thunderstorms, but not the rain, especially in some of those areas like, say, Salt Lake City, all the way down to Tuba City and in areas in and around the Grand Canyon and stretching over into Nevada, where we've got elevated to critical fire danger once again. And some of the numbers tomorrow, I mean, we see this a lot in the desert Southwest this time of year, but 109 in Las Vegas and then continuing into those triple digits for parts of the Grand Canyon. It makes fighting those fires even more difficult. Dr. Knabb.
And Molly, one big difference in the Hill Country northward. And unfortunately, we have yet another level 3 out of 4 risk in portions of the Hill Country and southwestward for the rest of tonight into tomorrow morning, because we still have southerly flow off the Gulf. That pattern just has not let up. And here's the future radar coming from the south. All big rain events in Hill Country, you got a south wind.
And you can see the timing on this too, because we don't even see some of the heaviest rain move into say the Kerrville area until after the sun goes down.
So once again, like we talked about on Saturday, before the overnight rain into Sunday morning, you got to have a way to get warnings that will wake you up. And maybe this is if you have a choice to stay off the roads and out of buildings that are right along rivers overnight tonight, because of how vulnerable things are. Now tomorrow, it's not as rainy, but it is going to be sultry. We still have a southerly flow, but I will say that in some ways, systems to the north and the system crossing Florida will steal some of the moisture in the region.
I mean, we got to look for the small things at this point, because there has been this persistent pattern in Texas. So any little thing that we can change to bring the hill country some dry weather will be relief.
Unfortunately, if it's July and it's Texas and it's dry, it's going to be hot. Look at the high for San Antonio on Wednesday of 95 sultry degrees. Not much change later this week.
And, you know, the recovery efforts, they're not just going to go on for a couple of days. We're talking weeks and months, and a lot of that is going to happen in the Texas heat.
Yep. Now, there is that system coming through the Gulf. It's mostly going to be a slow mover, so I think it's an Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana problem for the most part this work week. So if you're in Texas watching that development potential in the next several days, that's not your problem.
All right, we'll be right back.